time to give our little Capuchin Monkey a body. So this is on our 46 or 48 pin, and I wrestled with how tall to make the monkey, but I decided to cast on and crank out 70 rows of my black. And the reason I'm doing the fur separate is because the fur goes to the inside, and in order for the fur to be really fuzzy, this would have to be on the wrong side. And I didn't want us to have to roll it up and sew it together and do anything like that. So we'll just drop this down over it. So here's our 70 rows. And the way I handle my fur yarn to save my fur yarn is I cast on with my matching 4-ply, which is my body color. So once I get it cast on, then I did 17 rows of my beautiful fur yarn. Then I tied on my 4-ply, cranked around one more time so that I could cast off going under the black stitches of my 4-ply. And so now when I'm pulling to cinch it up or snug it up, I'm pulling on my 4-ply yarn, and I've saved a lot of fur yarn that way. So I kind of cinch this up just a little bit. I know that's going to be up at the neck. So here's our 17 rows with, it's more than 17 because we cast on and go around once with black. We tie on, we go around one more time after we've done our up to 17, and then we cast off. So that's the row count. So check it. We're going to be pulling it up into itself like a beanie. You'll want to see if you have any stitches you want to pull to the inside. I don't see anything. I know black is hard to see, but I'm going to fold it in half and bring my ends together. Okay, so this is going to become our neck. And if we're going to have a rotating head, we need to have a little opening here. So I just snugged up both ends of my tube around a couple fingers. You don't want to close it all the way up. Now, if you're not going to rotate your head and it's completely optional, you can go ahead and snug this up because the head will be sewn onto it. It doesn't have to be uh, cinched up like it's the top of a beanie. It doesn't have to be that snug. But I'm going to just stretch this down, line up my top edges, thread a needle, and with my black yarn, go over a row, under, over, under, over, under, so we can close this up and it can become our body tube. Okay, if you're going to have a rotating head, then once you get your yarn on the bottom and you're together at the top, you'll leave the threads that you're going to pull with at the back of the head. Pull this down over, and I definitely have to have it snugged up more. Pulling on my yarn ends to snug the holes up. And I'll put my big washer. I'm going with the big one because I have a pretty large animal. And I have a nut here that I screwed onto my shorter one to keep track of it. Going to screw it on a little bit and then pull this down, and I'll need to make sure that this is snug, the inside tube and the outside tube. And there it is. Snug it up a little bit more. Pulling my yarn tails snugger, making sure they're up underneath that washer. I'm going to just back this off and make sure, and I can get it a little bit snugger. Okay, now I'm sure I have it snug enough. I'm going to put the washer on and start threading the nut on there. Okay, I have to fold this down a little bit further. Once I lost my washer. Once I got it, where'd my washer go? Oh, there it is. Once I got this snugged up so that it was truly under the washer all the way, it gave me less room for the nut to come through, which is why from my first time I made a prototype, I immediately switched to a 1-inch bolt so that I would have room to get all these layers underneath it. And there we go. Okay, so it's on. Whew. Now we have to put some stuffing in. Before I do that, I'm definitely going to put glue on my bolt so it can't back off. And I'll do that when I get my glue gun heated back up. While my glue gun heats up, I'm going to tie these off, the yarn ends. I'm going to actually bring it around to the other side over here and tie it off again. Bring it back over here, just making sure. And that my head can still rotate. So I want to back this nut off just a tiny bit. Head can turn. So I'm going to have that nut just so that it's over the end and it's flush right here. And when my glue gun is nice and hot, I'm going to glue this together. Let it dry and flip it back over. While my glue gun is heating up, I just draped this fur because our little Capuchin monkey had this little fur that came down. And this 17 rows used up every bit of my fur. So if I want to do any trimming out, I'll be using my little lighter fur like I used right around here. It's almost the same color. So this can't get right up under the neck. So I'm going to make sure you have everything tied off where you switched from 4-ply to fur. And I've already done that. Just one more knot. Why not? I'm going to find the yarn that I pull with to snug up the top. Snug it up a bit. And after we stuff out the body and get, now if you're not using the rotating head method, you're just going to be sewing your head onto the body after you get your fur and everything on there. I'm really going to glump this up on here. And let that dry before I ever try to flip my yarn back around on it. And unplug my glue gun. Okay, we'll just let that dry for a minute. Alrighty. So this is draped over the top. My head can rotate. And I need to put stuffing in, so I went and grabbed a big wad of stuffing. And I'm going to start working it up in here into its little monkey body. Snugging it up at the bottom just a little bit so I can gauge how much I'm getting in here. A fat little body for a monkey to sit on. We'll bring its little fur down like it was on our little Capuchin monkey, and then put the arms and the legs on. Still have a lot of stuffing to go. getting it nice and full without expanding out the stitches or rows. So we get the look of a lot of fur without using a lot of fur. I still need some more stuffing up in the body. Oops. Let's see how that looks. Well, I still feel like I'm going to put just a little bit more stuffing in there. So when you get yours the way you think it's, whoops, going to be best for you and how firm you want your body to be, because you want it to be able to sit up. I noticed that some of my earliest animals I made, I actually wanted to go in where I had them stored, and on a couple of them, I actually did. I have this in my knee, stuffing it. I actually took the leg apart and added a little more stuffing into certain parts of it to make it firmer, because I was so afraid I wasn't gonna, that was gonna put too much in. So here's our cute little monkey body. Yay! It's cute. So as always, I'm just going to tie a bow down here so that I can come back in and add more stuffing or anything that I might want to do to fine tune it. This is my last opening. So I'm going to tie a bow. And what is, oh, I didn't do my first little tie. That's why it wouldn't stay shut. Okay, trying again for a bow. And this time I got it. And let's leave our fur just hanging loose because we want to bring it down like this. We kind of want to have it up over the shoulders a little bit. We're going to come in with a stitch from back to front to narrow it down so it's not so round. And we're going to do that under our fur. Make sure that our head still turns, and it does. And we could snug up the fur up under its neck a little more. Okay. And here's how cute it's getting. Needs arms and legs. And we'll snug this up a little bit. Not too much. And then work it around our arms and legs. So let's talk about arms and legs. Okay, so we have a couple more tubes to make. Oh, not this is our tail, but these are both 33s. So this is 33 on the small Addi. These are 33 on your large Addi or your large Sentro. And this is going to be the haunches, the hind legs. These will be the front legs. The tail is 50, so it can curve around. If you want it to be a little longer, it's your monkey, so you could add it, maybe 10 on there and make it 60. It's however you want to make it. So let's get started with our back haunches. So all I've done, just to make it a little neater up here on the table, is I cinched up this end and snugged up this end. And the way we're going to sew it for the foot is to roll it into the center. And we're going to fold it over with the rows into the center and start mattress stitching up. And then we're going to make this the haunch. I don't know if it's really called a haunch, but what comes up onto the side of the body, we're going to fan it out and give it a shape. And I know it's hard to see on the black, like this. And we'll roll the end of this beanie down in and stitch around the haunch and then have the foot sticking out. So we'll get to that in a minute, but right now we're going to thread up a needle and sew up the foot going towards the haunch. Okay, so this is our 46 or 48 pin, 33 row with the toes cinched up. So I'm going to just go into the first V stitches I can see and tie a knot down here. Roll it into the center. And fold it in half. So we're narrowing down the paw. And we're going to start mattress stitching up. And it's going to be subjective because can we truly get in the very first stitch when we're double rolling it like that? Maybe, maybe not. So we want to have the top of our beanie. And because it's so dark, I'm going to count down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 would bring it down to here. That would be a pretty nice size haunch. So if we're taking 13 away from 33, that's how far up we're going to mattress stitch. So let's get going. Okay, so I have mine rolled at the inside and I'm going to mattress stitch up 20 stitches. You're not going to be able to see it on this black. So I'm going to go, I already tied my knot. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4 until I get up and I'm doing 19, 20. And then this will become where I fan it back out to get big for the haunch. So I'm going to go up 20 and then I'll join you back. Okay, so I just finished 19, 20, 19, 20. And I'm pulling my mattress stitch closed. And it will roll up onto the side of our monkey body. So I'm even going to pull this mattress stitch just a little bit snug, just to bring this paw around a little bit, just to give it a little bit of a definition. See how it just curves just a little bit? And I'm going to tie a knot right here and bring this together. Double knot it. And do the same thing to the other one. And I'll join you back when I have this one ready. So we're going to sew mattress stitch up 20, 1, 1, and then 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 19, 20, 19, 20. Snug it just a tiny little bit to just give it a little bit of a curvature on that toe, like that. I know you can see that. It's dark, but just a little bit of a curve, and I'll join you back. Okay, so here's our first leg. We came up 20, and to finish off the top of it, we cinched it up like a beanie. Now this is still rolled in on itself where we rolled it in, but we can now just pull it out and round it like this to make the top of our little haunch. So we'll want to secure this thread up here. Just tie a knot because we're going to roll this in, but we don't want the top of this beanie to come loose. So I'm going to do a little double knot. This one is plenty long enough to sew with, so I'm just going to bury this thread, weave it down in, and get rid of it. It'll go to the inside of our little leg. pull this open so it's shaped like this. We're going to roll this beanie top down so that when we're sewing across the top, we're sewing into the V-stitches, and pick which way your V-stitch will go. We're going to go, if your point is going towards the beanie end here, then stay in that one, but stay back at least one off of where it's cast on. So if you decide you're going to sew, and I'm sorry about the black thread, this one, the V-stitch is going towards my body, then I would go back off that roll, 1 or 2 stitches, find the next one, the next one, the next one, the next one, and that's what I'd be sewing onto the body with. That rolls that beanie end to the inside of the leg. So let's just keep that curve going. I'm sorry it's black. It'll be hard to see. But I'm going to set my little guy up and have it maybe right about underneath where the ear is. Take the other one and place it on here till I like the way it looks. Kind of roll him forward a little bit. You don't want him laying back. Get his legs right down on the table, rolled forward so he's in a good sitting position, and he is just cute as he can be, his ears bent. Okay, so holding that on, I'm going to roll him over, and it's right down the bottom of his leg where this starts curving, so he can sit on that. And I'm going to thread up this thread that I mattress stitched up from the bottom, and I'll have to reposition my leg because I didn't have it already on my needle, and I'm going to sew around it, making sure that I get under every V-stitch of my leg, especially as I come across the top here, so that I get a really nice look. So let me position it one more time. Straighten his head up. Okay, here we go. Nice sitting position. I really want to look at him from the side too, so I don't have him too far forward. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to turn him over. Lots of lint here. Roll open his haunch. And it's right at the bottom. His haunch will be, by the time we cinch this bottom shut, his haunch will be right on the table. So rolling him in, wherever it's touching the leg, I'm going to go under a row, snug it up, pick the row that I'm going to be sewing into on my leg, and it's a matter of opening it up, and wherever it's touching the body, that's where you're going to go under the row because we're shaping it. We can't stay in the same row every time or we won't get the right look. Next row, and it is good to get down deep and get under some of the stuffing. So that's how I'm going to work my way around, and when I get up here to where my beanie rolls under, I'm going to make sure I stay back. I'm going to come all the way around and join underneath the leg right here where we mattress stitched and tie it off. Okay, so I've come around the curve, and you can go under a couple rows at a time up here on the haunch and down into the body. Just stay back off of where you pulled the beanie closed, if this were to be a beanie. I've come across the top, and now I'm going to start working my way down towards the inside of the leg to where I first started sewing, which is right here in my mattress stitch. So I'm going to curve around and come into that, and that's going to secure my leg to the body. His head is turning, which is cute, and we'll secure his fur soon. So make sure that when you come in here that you actually take enough stitches onto the body to keep the leg coming to the front. So I'll join you back when I get the other leg on, and make sure that you visually line it up. Take a look before you start sewing. Okay, I made it back underneath the leg. I've given it a really good tug to make sure it's snugged up, that the leg, it just curves around, makes such a nice looking little haunch. And then I'm going to tie it off underneath here and bury my thread and do the other one. As easy as that. It shapes itself. Just remember that wherever it's touching the body, that's where you're sewing. All right, we're almost done. So I'm positioning the second leg, and I want to note that this one is about 3 fingers from the end here. So 3 fingers. You can use your fingers to measure. It's lined up in the same place as the other side, but I want to stop about right here. So for this one, I'm going to start sewing on the bottom. So that I can keep track of where it's ending down there. Sewing around, keeping it, for me, 3 fingers, coming up onto wherever it's touching the body with it rolled out a little bit, so that you get a haunch. And now I'm going to just start shaping up around until I join back where I started underneath the leg. So that was just a little tip to keep them lined up. Be right back. Okay, so I'm going to roll them over. So here's this leg, and it's going to sit right on the table. They're both lined up. I'm going to cinch this shut. The bow's already come out. And snug it up. This is your chance to add more stuffing or decide that you like the way it is. And I'm definitely going to have to thread a needle and close this up because I don't want to put too much pressure on it. Just reinforce it a little bit and sew it shut. But for now, it lets our little monkey sit. And we have to decide where we're going to put the front paws. The front paws are going to be similar to the bottom, except there's no haunch. So let's just roll him back a little bit. And I've already cinched up one end. Stretch it out. Going to just mattress stitch it closed all the way to the top. And then we're going to sew the front arm on just so that it touches the table. And then we'll adjust our fur. So let's do that to both of them. Cinch it up, tie a knot, mattress stitch up. Just snug this top up over 3 fingers. We're not going to make it beanie tight. We want to have it kind of flat where we're sewing it on. So just put 3 fingers in here, snug it, tie a knot, just fold it together and mattress stitch it. I'll be right back when I have both of mine done. Okay, so I'm coming back on the camera just for a minute, even though I said I was going to sew both of them up, because I want to put a little stuffing in them to give them some support. So before I even snug this mattress stitch up, I'm going to put some stuffing down in there. Now when I close it up, it'll have some stiffness to it. So I can get all the way up to here as long as I can get my finger going down in here and get the tufts of stuffing going up there. And I don't want to stuff it right up here where I'm going to sew it on because I don't want the arms to be sticking straight out to the side. So when I get right to about here, I'll quit stuffing it. And then this will be where we sew it onto the body. So we'll want it to be lay flat against the body up here. So keep your stuffing maybe just 2 fingers from the top. So that's how I'm going to keep going. Just pull this apart a little bit and just keep putting light stuffing, keeping 2 fingers from the top. I'll do both of them that way and then we'll sew them on. I just finished both my paws, and once I was happy with the way they were going to fit on, I have no stuffing in this top, maybe 3 fingers worth, but I have it stuffed down here. So I just went ahead and snugged up the end of the beanie. Here's my mattress stitch coming up, and I'm going to tie them together, and it makes a nice little package here that I can sew around. I'm going to shorten this one. It'll make it easier to tie it. And I want my little front paws to rest on the table. Do the same thing to this one. That's my mattress. Here's the one that pulls it shut. So snug up the top here. No stuffing right up here in the very, very top so it can lay flat against the body. I'm going to shorten this down. I'm not going to be sewing with that one. And tie it off. Keep this yarn tail because as I sew around, I'll tie off to this again and then bury both the threads. So bringing the little guy back up on the table. Still have his little fur hanging here so it can come down onto his chest a little bit. We're going to take his arms and we want them to rest on the table. I'll flip him over in a minute. So we're going to put it just right up underneath his fur, both of them. So that they're on the table like this. Turn them sideways like this. So really stretch them out. If you haven't already, position them. Oh, so this is the one that I have my needle on. I'm going to sew my left one on first because I'm left-handed. Okay. Rolling him a little bit forward. Paws on, right lined up under his ear. 2 fingers above his leg, at least, like this. Sit him back down, and his paw is touching the table, so I'm happy with that. Gonna roll him over. And sew. And go all the way around the top of his arm, coming back off where we cinched up the beanie, just coming back a stitch. And working my way around his arm till it's really secure. Checking him or her so that the paw's still down on the table. And I like the position. It's all about fine-tuning it. And just keep working my way around. Wherever my arm is touching my body, that's where I'm going into the body to sew it. It's literally just the toe and the arm are coming together here. Just a gentle slope. Okay, so let's do right where the stuffing stopped. That's about where I'm going to roll it back and continue sewing it down onto my body tube so that my arms stay forward. And if you can go down in deep and get some stuffing, that's all the better. I'm going to cross and getting ready to tie off to this piece of yarn, which is back here. I haven't made it all the way around yet. Wherever it's touching the body, that's where I'm going in with my needle. Coming back up onto the shoulder. Getting back off of where I cinched the beanie up, coming back a little bit. And now I'm going to tie these together, snug it up nice and snug, tie them together, bury the ends. Do the same thing with the other side. This is a cute monkey. I know you're not seeing it like I am because of the angle of the camera, but we'll see it in the end. So doing the same thing with this one, this will be what I ultimately tie off to. Position it up under the ear, make sure it rolls to the front, that it's touching on the table to give our little guy security. Remember, we have 2 fingers between the top leg and the bottom leg, and we kept the same 3 fingers from where we cinched up to here. That's how we're measuring it. We're just using our fingers, 3 and 3, 2 and 2 right here. It's as easy as that. So I want to thread up my needle, and I'll join you back when I have this one on. So we are on the home stretch. So let's take our tail. And if you remember, I think we did it 50 rows. I didn't even write it down. And it's long enough for it to come out by its foot. No stuffing. We want it completely pliable. So let's just mattress stitch it up to the end, and then we'll attach it to the rear end. Alrighty, I made it to the top, and I'm going to tie the 2 yarn ends together and decide where I'm going to attach it to the rear end. And I fit it on the body, and it comes all the way around to the front to where the leg is. But monkeys have really long tails, so if you want to add 10 and do your 60, it's your monkey. I'm going to go with 50. I would have been just as happy with 60. So with it sitting on the table, I'm going to take my longest yarn end, decide which side of the monkey the tail is going to come out on, straighten my head up, my movable head, and come straight down the back and have my tail right where it sits on the table. So from where we snugged this up, and we definitely are going to snug this up and sew it together, it's about 2 fingers for me where it sits on the table because that's just an extra little stabilizer. So I'm going to roll it around and sew it around. Coming up onto the V-stitches that are one back from where I cinched up the end as if it were the end of a beanie. So coming back a stitch, and that just rolls it over so that where the cinched up part is goes to the inside. So I'm going to go around so that it's just not flopping out in the air. I'm going to sew down maybe 2 fingers and do this and sew it underneath 2 fingers, maybe even 3 fingers, just to keep it heading in the right direction and not up in the air either. So set it back down on the table, get your position, and keep sewing around. And stay off of where you're cinching up. So I'm two tight fingers from there. I'll join you back when I'm all the way around. I just finished sewing the tail on, and I did come about this far over, so you can see that it's secured right here, and that will keep it going towards the front. So I have my long yarn ends, and I'm going to reinforce this opening by going around through these stitches. To reinforce it just a bit, I can't wait to get the lint off of the monkey and do the beginning. I always do the beginning at the end because I don't have a monkey to show you yet until we finish this one. Coming around to where we started. Let's pull this again. We can get it quite a bit snugger. Tie it off. Now I'm going to thread up my yarn end and just close it up by going from the left to the right and just whip stitching that closed. It'll close right up, pulling some stuffing out with it. Okay, see it closing up? It's closed, and I'm going to tie these together and bury the ends. And a third knot. And now we're on the home stretch. We have all our pieces sewn on. We need to work on our fur. This just been draped so far. Doke. A really cute monkey sitting here. Let me raise my camera up. Okay, so this is the thread that is what we're pulling the fur up snug under its neck with. So I'm going to shorten it. I have it snugged up. It doesn't have to be really tight up underneath there. And I'm going to tie a knot and just bury the thread underneath the fur. So I'm just going to come right up in here, pull its little head back a little bit so I can get a knot in here. That didn't work. I unthreaded my needle. And just let it come to the inside. And through the body. Came out right here, burying the thread and snipping it off. And this is our pull thread. It's at the back. Okay, so our little Capuchin monkey, let's see if I can find the picture. Well, where is my monkey? Here it is. So our little monkey has this fur that comes down on its back. It kind of comes up over its shoulder, down onto its tummy. So we're going to do something similar with ours. So just drape it around, get it how you like it. You could even let it come down over the shoulders a little bit. I don't know if that's the best look. I'm going to let mine roll up over the shoulder. somewhat. I'm going to pull it down onto its tummy in the front, roll it right up over the shoulder line, and the drawstring is back here that we can use to snug up with. So I'm going to start with him sitting down. I'm going to pull that little fur forward right down as far as I can get it to go right here, and I'm going to tack that on. I'm just going to use black yarn. It's very forgiving, so I'm pulling it down and I'm going to tie it and leave it a yarn tail that I can tie off to when I've gone all the way around. Okay. All right. So just sitting them forward, letting it just roll under a bit over his shoulder, and keep positioning him. Get him sitting correctly. All right. So I'm just going to start going along the edge here through my body and back up through my fur, not on the very, very edge either. I have it rolled under. It's doing that naturally. And I'm just going to head up towards my arm, snugging it, letting it roll in on itself up here over the arm. And if I get into the mesh, I'm just going to wrestle it free by pulling on it really hard. Okay, up over the shoulder. Still working over the shoulder. Just gently rolling it in on itself. This is really cute. I hope you can see how cute the fur is. Okay, so now I'm coming over the back of the shoulder, not going to come down near as far in the back. I can already see that I'll be snugging it just a little bit. Okay, and just kind of coming this way with it. Still working on getting over the top of the shoulder. I'm a big fan of the fur yarn. I'm telling you, I love it. Okay, just gently coming around. Here's where we tied our 4-ply onto the fur yarn. We'll bury that in a minute. This is our center right here that we purposely put at the back. Just keep coming around the fur, down into the body, shaping it. It's any shape you want it. You can have it come to a little V back here, and I might actually do that. Just pull it down just a tiny bit. Oops, I'm in the mesh. And here I am right at the very back. I'm just going to leave that yarn tail hanging and start in the middle again, line him back up, tie on right down here in the middle, and work back up over this shoulder. Keep positioning him. It's all visual. How cute he is. Roll it up over the shoulder just like you did the other side and line it up as you come across the back so it um, looks even. I'll bring mine down just a little bit right here. And when I get through with that, I'll join you back and we'll finish the face and be done. Thank you. We'll be right back. You could call your monkey done now, but let's give it a little hint of a nose up here. So I have a little bit longer needle than normal, this long, and I have my matching yarn thread on here that is actually embroidery floss. So the way we're going to do this is we want to be able to kind of pop this nose up just a little bit and give it some definition. So I'm going to come in at the bottom of its ear right here and come over. So let's visually think about right in front of where our eye comes down. So right about here, where we might want to start narrowing the nose. So coming up right here, leaving a yarn tail to pull with, come back right just a tiny little bit below where we came out. Come over to the other side of the nose. Come right down a tiny little bit from where we were. Come over to where we have a tiny little stitch here. So we're coming over this way. So when we pull it, we can get that to come in like this. So just come down, oh, just a tiny little bit, come under some stuffing, come up right next. I know you can't see this, but where the stitch is, we're just coming down, come down just a tiny little bit, come over again, right underneath the bottom of that last stitch right here. And you can see that when we pull on it, we're getting some definition there for that nose. So coming right down under some stuffing. Back down, right back where we came up before. I just unthreaded my needle. And you can see that when we pull it, we're getting definition in the nose right there. Coming down a little bit more under some stuffing. Back up in line with the stitching coming down this way. Down. Still down a little bit more under some stuffing. The stuff, by going under the stuffing, you're pushing it up into its little nose area here. This might be about the last time. Can you see it sticking up? It's so cute. I know it's hard to see on the camera, but it pops that nose up. And so now I just unthreaded my needle. I'm going to thread it back up. Okay. Come out right in the center where you would think a nostril would be. So 2 tiny little nostrils at the end here. So here's my line of stitching, and I'm just coming over just a tiny little bit. Then I'm going to come up, do the next little nostril, come up, and this time I'm going to head back behind this ear where I started, come out really close to that. I'm going to try to pull my end out, whichever one it is. There we go. Okay, so we have 2 pieces of yarn here, and that's what's popping the nose up, giving us tiny little nostrils. And there is our hint of a little nose. So let's tie this off. Look at it from the side, from this side, from this side. We'll bury these threads in a minute. So basically, we're coming in under the ear, we're coming out here, and we're zigzagging. We're going under some stuffing, taking a tiny little stitch, come over right at the end of the other little stitch, take a stitch, come back over at the bottom of this little stitch, and we're just zigzagging back and forth until we have the most adorable little nose, because we don't want him to look like a mouse. And that's the kind of nose our monkey has. Okay, well, we have a pretty cute little face. We have our cute little nose, but there's one more thing I want to do before we call it done, and that is to just bring these eyes down a little bit and bring the nose up just a little bit. It's not going to be hard to do. We're going to come in by the ear, come in right at the bottom of our eye, right here, leave a nice long tail to tie off with, and because I have really big eyes, I can actually pull this all the way down, this floss right onto the post, and pull that eye down. So I'm going to go down into the corner of my nose right here. I'm going to come up right on the other side of my nose, right here. Let's see what happens. So when I pull down on it, it's going to bring my eyes down. I want to come up around this one until I feel it catch right onto the post. I'm going to go right into the same place in the eye where I popped up and went around. Come right back over here, this side of the nose. Back up over this eye. Nope, not going to do it that way. Okay, I'm going to go straight down on this side so that I can bring them down. We're learning together as we go. Okay, so I'm coming down, deep into its face, and coming over where pretty close to where I first went in. See how that works. I have 2 ends to pull. And there we go. And now that's bringing the eyes down onto the nose, which is what I wanted it to do. And that cleans up our profile and rests those nose down, the eyes down into the nose. It's just a better look. turn it around. That's that one. This one's pulling that one. Want to make sure I got them going even. And here they are nestled down. I think it's a cuter look that way. I'm going to try to hold on to that, take my needle off, shorten these yarn ends. Actually, it's floss, embroidery floss. And I'm going to tie my first knot here. I like that better. I just like how that brings the eyes down. I'm going to tie that off. Triple knot it. Right up under the edge of the fur there. An adorable little face. Look at that. So cute. What else could we do? We could narrow it down right here at the eyes. So I think I will. We're just giving it a cute little shape, fine-tuning it. That's what we'll call it. So I'm just going to go right in under this ear, under this ear, come up under this ear, right at the fur line. Pull it through, come down just maybe 1/8 of an inch from where I came out. Come over to this side. Coming up pretty much right where I went in. And just narrow that down just a little bit, giving our monkey some facial definition. I like it. Hey, and I'm going to tie all of this together from the eyes and from coming across and just bury the threads so easily right up into that fur, they'll just disappear. And there I have it. A really, really cute little monkey face. And I'm just stopping here. I'm not even going to try to put a mouth on it. I just think it's so pure and simple the way it is that's how I want it to be. So here we are, a really cute little monkey face. We've brought the eyes down into the snout. It's just so, so cute and such a cute little profile. I'm going to bury these threads and now I can go back and film the beginning. So I hope that you think it's adorable, that you'll want to make one, that you'll like, subscribe, watch the videos. We need 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch time hours. And the like apparently helps with the algorithms. So you could help Margaret's House not only by subscribing, but before you go to bed at night, click play the channel. My dogs are walking through the RV and shaking the camera. That's how bad the RV shakes. Well, just say play the channel or play the playlist and log some hours on for us. We'd so appreciate it. And God bless you for watching. Margaret's House is funded totally by donations. So that's why, since YouTube is going to advertise anyway, we'd like to get funded for the advertising, and the money will go straight to Margaret's House. Thank you so much, and God bless you. Well, an interesting thing happened when I took the monkey over to Margaret's house. There were quite a few people over there, and they wanted him to have a mouth. So let's do a quick little mouth. So I have my long, thin needle, because the sock, I don't believe, will let the regular needle we use when we circular knit go through. So I'm going to come in from back behind the face back here into the fur. And I'm going to just make him a simple little mouth that goes across the front here. So I'm going to come out right here on the side. Follow it around this way. And just give him the hint of a mouth. I'm going to come in on, Chloe, it's okay. I'm going to come in on this other side over here and come out where I came in. But I think I'm going to go around twice. So come out right where we popped out here. I need to clear my thread out. Pull my end. There we go. Okay, so let's see what that would look like. So when I pull that, it'll give him his little mouth, or her, coming over right where we popped out there. Line this up. And I believe when we pull that nice and snug, that it's going to put a little indentation in his sock. It's just going to be a simple matter of pulling these two ends. And there's his mouth taking shape. So I'm going to give it a single tie on the side. And that'll let me pull it and kind of control it. And now our monkey has a mouth. And I have to agree. I think they were right. It needed a mouth, and it was just so simple. So instead of redoing the first part, I'm going to slip this little part in when we're sewing the head on in part 2. Okay, so now there's a little mouth. I have to admit, I like it. Yes, I do. I think they were right. Okay, simple as that. Let me tilt him back. So our fusion monkey, part circular knitting fur, and a sock is complete. Okay, so now that we have a mouth, this is optional, but if you would like to narrow your chest and kind of pull the head forward just a little bit, thread up a needle with some dark yarn or whatever color your monkey body was, and we're going to do this by just bringing the needle completely underneath the fur. I'm going in right here because I don't want to grab any of the fur. And I'm going to just pop my needle out the back at the very edge where the fur starts, towards the center. I'll just keep working with my needle here. Pull that through, and you'll get a divot in the front if you don't go back out through the same stitch that this is popped out with. So we want to look through the fur here, where we're coming through, and go right back through there, and hopefully we haven't trapped any of the fur. We went back through that same stitch because I don't want to see a divot there. Let's see what happened. And that just narrows the chest just a little bit. Totally optional. You might like a fat little monkey, and I do too. But I'm going to go ahead and narrow that chest down just a little bit. Tie this off in the back. Bury the threads. Give it an extra little crank. Here, it goes right up into the edge of that fur. and just pulls that chest in just a little bit. You might take you a couple tries to not, to get back through the right stitch where you first popped the thread in, so that you're not putting like a dimple there. Just gonna cut this off. And the chest is just a tiny little bit narrower. You could even do it down here at the bottom too, if you really, really wanted to narrow it down, but it just brings the chest a little flatter down. I'm calling the monkey done. So I hope that you'll like, subscribe, watch the videos, and help Margaret's house grow. The patterns will always be free, and what we ask so that we can keep going, keep the channel popping out these absolutely original tutorials each week, is to like, subscribe, and watch. And that's how you can help support Margaret's house. God bless you, and I will see you next week when we do something else unique and original from Margaret's Discipleship Center. Thank you, and God bless you.